Skimming and Scanning, Module 4, page 56. Skimming and scanning are two specific speed reading techniques that help you to cover a great amount fast. Quickly looking over an article is not skimming or scanning. Both require specific steps. Skimming is moving the eyes quickly over the text with the purpose of getting only the main ideas and a general overview. So why would we want to do this? Why would we want to skim? First, maybe for pre-reading, because skimming, it's more thorough than simply previewing. Maybe if we're reviewing, because skimming is useful for reviewing text that's already been read. Also, while reading, skimming is most often used for quickly reading material that does not need more detailed attention. So how do we skim? First, read the title. Next, read the introduction or the first subtitles. After we've read the title and some of the first subtitles, we should have a general idea of the topic of the reading. Next, read the first paragraph completely. As we've discussed, the first paragraph usually includes important information like the main idea or things we'll need to totally understand the text. Next, read the subheadings looking for relationships. Subheadings, smaller titles that are usually bolded throughout the text, are a way for us to quickly follow the argument of the text and see where it's going. Next, try to read the first sentence of each remaining paragraph, because the main idea of most paragraphs usually appears in the first sentence. If it doesn't seem like it's a main idea, check the last sentence. Again, for this middle portion of the text, we don't have to feel like we need to read anything. If we're skimming, we're just trying to get the gists and main ideas, so we can skip most of the middle of paragraphs that usually contain smaller detailed information. Next, while we're reading, we should also look for the following. We should look for any important clue words about who, what, when, where, why, how, based on our understanding of the title, the introduction, and some of the main who, what, when, where, why, how. We should look for proper nouns because it might be about a specific person or place we need to learn about. Should also look for unusual words, specifically if they're capitalized, because there's a good chance those are important or new words. Should also look for words such as best, worst, or most, because these will be making larger qualifying statements. We should also look for things that are in italics, bold-faced, or underlined, or have asterisks, those little stars beside them, because these are ways the author is showing us that something's important. Lastly, read the final paragraph carefully. The final paragraph, like the first paragraph, will usually contain the main ideas and summarize some key points. Let's look at this example. Now, while I skim through this, keep in mind that skimming is something that you'd be doing in your head. What I'll try to do is just read aloud the things that I would focus on. All right, so first, I'll read the title, The Cost of Doing Business. Next, the subtitle, Penalties when workers die on the job don't go far enough. Now, just from the title and the subtitle, I can tell this is going to be about businesses and the penalties they face when workers die on the job. Someone thinks they don't go far enough. Next, I'll read the first paragraph or two to get the main idea. Nearly every day in Canada, a family gets a call that shakes its foundations to the core. A father, a mother, a son or daughter has been killed on the job. And many of those families say the grief continues when they realize the penalties employers face do not match the enormity of their loss. Now that I've read the first couple paragraphs, I can understand that the main idea of this article is that some people, specifically families, think the penalties employers face when someone dies on the job aren't great enough. Now I can start skimming more. I don't need to read everything, just more the first sentences of each paragraph, the first information, anything that stands out or seems important. CBC News investigation has found only a handful of people have been jailed across Canada, including victim surcharges, the average fine somewhere around 97. While the circumstances behind each workplace death can be complex, jail sentence is an option. In a very limited number of serious workplace incidents, the courts have handed down prison sentences. Now, while reading through that, I didn't get all the information. I missed lots of the specifics, but that's not the point of skimming. I'm not here to remember every specific detail. Really, I'm trying to just get a main point. And from there, I see that, yes, jail's an option. Sometimes people are jail, but really, it hasn't happened that often. Finally, I'll read the last paragraph to make sure I understand the conclusion of this text. I don't want to see a bunch of bosses in jail, said United Steelworkers Director Steve Hunt. In fact, if we saw one or two, I think that would be the shift that we see in Canada that would really bring home to the fact that bosses have a responsibility to their workers. Now, by skimming this article, by really just reading the title, subtitle, first and last paragraph, and some key points throughout, I have a general understanding of the text. This isn't something I'd want to do if I really needed to understand this to possibly have a discussion with someone about it or to write about it. But just to have a general understanding of the text, skimming is a very useful strategy. Now, scanning quickly covers a lot of information to locate a specific fact or piece of information. It's useful for finding a specific name, date, statistic, or fact without reading the whole article. So how do I scan? First, keep in mind what you're looking for. Are you looking for a name, a percentage, a dollar amount? What are you looking for? And have that at the front of your mind at all times. Next, anticipate in what form the information is going to appear. If you're looking for a percentage or a dollar amount, that's most likely going to be a number. If you're looking for a name, you know you're looking for something that starts with a capital letter. So what form is the information going to appear in? Next, analyze the organization of the text before you start to scan. Essentially, think about how is this going to be organized. You know if you were looking through a phone book, everything's going to be organized in alphabetical. If you're looking through a dictionary, things will be alphabetical. If the material is familiar, you can scan the entire text in a single search. If the material is not familiar or difficult, first you might want to skim through and then decide if you need to do another scan. Next, let your eyes move quickly over several lines of print at the same time. Again, the point of scanning isn't to skim through and have a general understanding of the text, but to use a strategy to find a specific piece of information. Next, when you find the sentence that has the information you want, read that entire sentence, really just to make sure this is the information you're looking for. So we'll use the same example, but this time we'll be thinking, in Alberta, what is the average employer fine for a workplace fatality? So what is the average fine an employer receives when someone dies on the work site? Now, if I'm keeping in mind what I'm looking for a fine. So it's probably going to be a dollar amount. Now, I know this will take the form of a number, most likely with a dollar sign. And I know this is going to be an article, so there's not going to be a nice it's not going to be an alphabetical order or numerical order. I'm going to have to kind of scan through the whole thing, several lines at a time. I should also say, like last time, scanning isn't something that you're going to do aloud and narrate while you go. So what I'm doing is as my eyes scan over, I'm just trying to narrate and say aloud what I'm seeing and what I'm doing. While you're scanning, you wouldn't be doing this. Again, looking for the average employer fine for a workplace fatality. So I'm going to scan through here and look for a dollar sign. As I go, I notice there's first one. I know there's a couple others, but I notice this first one, it has a dollar sign and a number amount beside it. So I'll read the whole sentence. It says, Alberta, the average total fine, that sounds good, including all court payments for all parties was $275,000. Now, I didn't need to read through the rest or even read what information was before it. I just scanned through until I saw a dollar sign, saw that it was talking about the average total fine in Alberta, which is what I was looking for, and I have the dollar amount. You notice there are other dollar signs that I might want to double check to see if there's other information, but this, on a quick scan through, gave me the information I needed. Remember, skimming is moving the eyes quickly over the text with the purpose of getting only the main ideas and a general overview. Scanning quickly covers a lot of material to locate a specific fact or piece of information.